Johnny Dumbbell in the building. What's good, fam?
Oh man, it's been a crazy weekend. It's been a lot of movement, a lot of moving around. Helped a buddy of mine move to a new apartment. I got to tell you guys, it is a lot easier helping your friends stay put. Way easier than helping them move. That button has a delay on it.
Yeah, it must. I think the delay is with me, Johnny. Honestly.
That's all right.
So it's Monday night. It's Ask Your Favorite Uncles. So let me break this down for everybody watching this. Johnny and I, we want to help you guys out. We understand that you guys have struggles, you have questions, there's things that nobody in your life ever taught you that you should know. So we want to help out. We want to give you the answers and information you're looking for. At least those of you that are willing to speak up and ask questions. So now we
Yeah, I mean,
realize that a lot of you guys wish to remain anonymous. And Johnny and I, we do this out of the kindness of our hearts because we want to put positivity out into the universe. We want to see men of all ages do better. So we're here to answer your questions. Now, the only thing that we ask is that we can put these questions up for the whole class because look, Johnny and I will tell you, you are not the only one going through whatever it is you're going through. And the questions that you have can benefit other people. So we'd like to answer your questions. We like to put them up on our YouTube, our Rumble, our TikToks, our Facebooks, our Instagrams, our X, Twitter stuff, everything as a resource for you guys to go through and just reference stuff. So, Johnny picked 3 questions tonight. We're going to give you our take on them. And honestly, I got to be honest with you guys here. This is a tough love channel. We're going to say things that you might not agree with, that you don't want to hear, especially if you're not ready to take accountability in your life. But the people that ask these questions are, and we want to help them. So that's what this show is for tonight. We're going to answer a couple questions from Johnny's DMs. What do you got for us tonight, Uncle
yeah, believe me.
Johnny?
Well, and like Bill said, believe me, fellas, when we answer these questions, we are answering questions from situations that you are not the only one writing about. We have not only seen these things happen. Chances are, with Bill and my experience, we've already been through this probably once or twice a piece. Given these issues. Now tonight, I've got a couple of. I've got at least one that I know is going to come across as a no-brainer. And I know a lot of people are going to kind of be yelling at the screen a little bit, and I expect that. And I hope you are, because that means you've absorbed our material. Okay. But like I always tell you, I'm here to share my experiences, my successes, and mostly my failures, just to make sure that you men don't make the same mistakes that I did with self-respect, self-confidence, women, relationship, personal growth. And by that, I mean physical, mental, and emotional, spiritual. So again, as Bill and I always tell you, if you're thinking of doing something and it seems maybe a little bit stupid, reckless, maybe foolishly expensive, talk to us first. Leave it in the comments. Shoot us a DM, but don't do it yet. Chances are one of us or both of us has done it and learned the hard way. Tonight, we're going to share a little bit of that at least empathetic experience with you. And this first one comes from, here we go. This first one comes from Kenny. Kenny says, and the subject line is modern dating is so bleak. Now that's some that's some Edgar Allan Poe shit right there. But that I mean, I understand where a lot of you guys are coming from because the way things seem. If you don't have these things decoded, if you don't have some sort of a compass to guide you through what difficulties you're having and how to overcome them, yeah, it's going to seem like a labyrinth of emotions. It's going to seem like a labyrinth of questions, that you may never find your way around, let alone answer. But the first sentence says it all. And this guy's going to have to build from the ground up. I'll tell you this right now. But he says, I'm so desperate for love and attention, it's starting to feel pathetic.
Bruh.
Now, as sad as that sounds, at least he is voicing that he realizes that it sounds ridiculous. That's step one, Kenneth. All right? That's step one. I've been single for almost 2 years. It's been a process of recovering. excuse me, I had a few short-lived relationships with lovely women that I wasn't ready for in that time. Kenny, cut the shit, man. They dumped you. All right. It's okay. We've all been there. It's happened to all of us. Anyway, those obviously ended. I'm in a good place now, and I feel like I could commit to something if I tried. I've only been seriously trying in the last 6 months, and God, it's so bleak. I've been on the apps. I have in desperation paid for a few, and I know that they're like marginally better. Apps, not women. We're gonna make that clear. I'm so touch and love and intimacy starved. The process is awful. I've had no success. Girls I've really liked who have been gorgeous and cool and low key out of my league either end it after a while or ghost me. That's basically the entire experience. Even when they end it, it turns out it's been for a different reason than the one that they gave me. It's hard. It's hard out here, man. I swipe on my dating apps out of boredom and sometimes see the profiles of old matches who I had high hopes for, and now I'm just so bummed. One in particular, I literally just waited too long to ask out, and now it's just over. Ghosted me like 2 days after my last text trying to build up to asking her out. Bill, we are going to have a lot to unpack here, and I'm not even done. Like it's been a month or so since I blew that, and I'm still mad about it. I just don't know what to do. I'm at a certain point where it feels like it's me. You're on the right track. Like I'm not physically the best looking, but clearly I'm cutish. And Kenny, I'm going to need you to stop using words like that. I can get pretty girls interested. I don't really have a lot of in real life opportunities, just law school pretty much. So this is where my hopes really end as far as dating goes. Anyone else feeling this struggle? Kenny, Billy and I are already feeling your struggle from halfway through sentence number one. So the thing of it is that there's a lot to unpack here. Bill, I'm going to go ahead and say, why don't we have you? I'm curious. He says he's had a few short-lived relationships with lovely women that he claims he wasn't ready for in that time. Now, with as low as it seems he thinks of himself, does he mean that he dismissed them because he just wasn't ready for commitment and just wanted to have fun? Or do you think it's more likely he didn't live up to what he thought he needed to do to stay with them because he was trying to play up to them and he let himself and them down in his mind?
John, I have so many questions for him. I really want to get, now that Skype's over with, I really want to get us a number where people can call into the show again. I like that we were doing that for a little while because I have a lot of questions for him. My first question for him is going to be, why do you hate yourself?
Yeah.
Not seriously. I'm not seeing any kind of self-love, self-worth, self-respect. Just in the way he's talking, I can tell that he does not love himself. And that's going to stem, a lot of his issues are going to stem from that. He's going to think that these women don't deserve him, or that he doesn't deserve them. Rather, he's going to think that he's the problem in these relationships. I do see some self-awareness there because he is slightly aware that he is the issue. So I want to give him a shout out for that, because I'm telling you right now, you cannot change if you don't take accountability for the things you're doing in your life. So the fact that you know you're the problem, let's dive a little deeper into that, because I can assure you, you are definitely the problem. It's not these women. You're coming across as boring to them. The fact that you need to build up to ask them out should be a big enough indicator that they're not interested in you. All right. Now, something Johnny and I often teach you guys is that by the third or fourth message, you should be setting up a date. Okay. And Johnny, what's the second best answer a woman can give you?
Well, the second best answer a woman can give you, other than, of course, yes, is no. The thing of it is the worst thing she could do is say, oh, geez, I don't know. I'm really busy this week. Give me a call sometime next week. This gives her time to decide what role in her life you're going to play. Are you the guy she just doesn't text back and just says, forget him? Or are you that guy that she sees resources that she can extol from you while, maybe playing the pretend game? Or, hey, is she genuinely interested in you and wants to see where this attraction goes? any one of those three things can end really well or really bad. The problem is the first two would only end really well for her.
I see him standing on the fact that he's in law school. Okay. This probably interests women. Like he thinks he's cutish. Is that the stuff that he was saying?
Unless that was some strange word from another language, I'm guessing that's what he meant.
Men don't talk like that. So that's got to be a typo. Let's just move forward with that.
I'm going to ignore it. Yeah.
The point that I am trying to make here is that you're the problem, but there's good news here. There's still time for you to fix it. You can still turn this around. You don't have to stand on law school or your looks. What you really need to do is spend some time alone learning yourself. You need to look at that stranger in the mirror and learn to love him. And I can tell you right now that you're looking at a stranger when you look in the mirror because you don't have the confidence that it takes to really love yourself.
Well, and I think that despite the fact that he's in law school and he kind of has the direction where he's going career wise, there's a good chance he hasn't really gotten to know himself who he is yet. You know, I mean, at a young age, that can be tough, especially when you've been inundated with, trying to establish, let alone advance a career. You probably have very little time to kind of be introspective. You're doing a lot of studying, you're doing a lot of field experience. If you're in law school, you're probably doing a lot of crap internships. And I mean, hey, I get it. But even, and I've said this in a few of my videos, past, especially my fitness videos, excuse me, even if you're only getting 15, 20 minutes, or, even if you're only getting 5 or 10 minutes, sometimes you have to go on vacation for less than an hour. and even if that's nowhere else than going somewhere, meditating, self-reflecting, whatever it is that you do, make it something that's about you. We all need that time throughout the day. It is not selfish. It is not wasteful. It is going to keep you from, it's going to make the difference between you advancing to where you want to be and just being that robot or zombie that keeps going through the motions and continues to do the yes factory. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, dear. We don't want that. We're not going to be happy that way. You might even be very wealthy that way. You might actually make a great living that way. But did you? You're not really making a great life, even if you do have a great living.
Johnny, I'm only happy when I'm honoring the commitments I make to myself. That's why I go to the gym. That's why my diet is the way it is. Very restrictive, very disciplined. And my advice to him would be to leave these women alone for a little while and get to know you. The fact that you're bothered by them, by getting ghosted. All right, let's talk about that for a minute. If a woman ghosts you, good for you, because she's
easy to take that personally. It is.
Yeah, she's not wasting any more of your time. She actually did you a favor. Okay. And you may not see it as that. You may be insulted. You may be disappointed. You may be dwelling on what could have been. Forget about all of that. Spend more time learning you. And I'll give you a little hint here. Once you really learn yourself, the kind of women you think you like, you won't even like anymore. So,
right.
And here's what I mean by that. Right now, you're attracted to women based off of their looks. You even mentioned something about women's looks. I mean, look, there was a lot of things you mentioned. There was a lot to take in, but I know you said something about them looking good or their looks. And let me tell you something. The way that woman looks is not going to add any value to your life, but her behaviors, that is a different story. The content of her character, the things that make her uniquely her, those are the things that you should be paying attention to, not what society says. Oh, that's a baddie right there. Because I know plenty of baddies that ain't gonna hold you down if you go to jail. I'll tell you that right now, dog.
Yeah, don't get me wrong; they're fun for a night or two, but that's about it. And we've mentioned this on the show before. And I've said this before. It's very, very one of my favorite quotes. Like Bill said, I don't care how good she looks. I don't care how sexy she is. I don't care what she wears. I don't care how she makes you feel when she walks by. Somewhere there is highly likely to be a guy who is already sick of her crap. So I mean, again, Johnny, you're going to need more than that.
Here's something else. These women are moving him off his square so much that he can't have much peace. He's probably very reactive to what they're doing. And what he should be doing is learning how to be a leader, learning how to give instructions, learning how to dictate terms with these women. And if they don't do that, if they're not trying to follow what Johnny and I like to call your program, you do this little thing that I love doing called dismissing them. Man, do I love to get rid of a woman. I'm telling you, it can be very difficult at times, and there is a skill to it. But we'll get into that
and
in
I
another
think
video. I think Johnny and I want to do something about the right way to break up and the right way to move on. So we're going to save some of that game for that.
yeah.
But the point that I'm trying to make is learn yourself, and you're going to learn that these women that you're so obsessed with right now aren't going to be that important to you in the long run.
Yeah.
I think he's chasing women. All right. And I think he should be chasing his purpose. He should be chasing his goals, and his desires should be the last thing he's chasing.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is too is one thing you're trying to do is, like Bill kind of touched on, you're trying to lead a woman without actually having any self-leadership, any self-management. And so this is why I preach to my men, especially you young men, make a habit of having a routine of your own every single day. This is your program. This is your itinerary. She fits it or she doesn't. And I want you to start, Kenny, by the way, by every day waking up and making your bed. I know I preach this a lot, but I'm telling you, it is step one onto a step. Yeah.
Hey, look,
it's step
Johnny,
one onto many other steps of leading yourself into a life of self-discipline. And I know that sounds square. I know that doesn't sound like fun, but believe me, when you're running your own program and you designed it yourself and it starts to work, believe me, it is poetic. It is absolutely graceful. And you can live a very fine life with that at any income level. Trust me. As long as you understand yourself, guess what happens then? You get to know yourself. You get to like yourself. And then you can start looking for others who will agree with you on liking.
John, let's talk about self-discipline for just a second. I often say this because I see this all the time when people talk about trying to impress somebody. And I really feel that anytime that you are actively trying to impress somebody, that you are essentially trying to manipulate them.
Absolutely.
You're trying to get them to believe a narrative that might not necessarily be true. But
yeah, by the way, nice guys.
But when you have true self-discipline, you are impressive. Your physique is impressive. The way you conduct yourself is impressive. There's something I always talk about, being able to conquer yourself. And once you can do that, it is going to open up a door to you to a whole new world you never thought possible. Once you learn how to get out of your way and have your back and love yourself, it will change your life. I promise you, sir.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be able to walk with purpose. Like I always tell you, say it with your chest, walk with your chest. When you enter a room, I'm not saying you got to enter like Ric Flair, but I mean, have a presence about you. You can either ignore the elephant in the room, or you can be the elephant in the room. If you're going to be in the room, be the elephant.
You know what, dog? I got to get Ric Flair on the soundboard, man.
I know. I really wish I had the woo. Yeah. We got us Mario. We actually have a shot at this bar here in Pittsburgh called Lefties. They're on the north side now. They call it the Ric Flair. I don't know why, but the shot is what is the shot? The shot is Bacardi, not 151, just Bacardi, and the beer is for some reason Coors. But that's the Ric Flair shot and beer combo. Lefties in Pittsburgh, guys. Tourist attraction. If you're in town, you really got to check it out. New location on the north side.
All right, John, is there anything else you want to add to this young man tonight?
Yeah, Kenny, what I would recommend to you is I think you're going to need a good program that's going to probably parallel mine, because I felt very similarly to you, except it was my wife leaving me and then me going, having some of the experiences you described tonight. So my suggestion to you, I'm not saying swear off women altogether. I'm not saying cross the street when you see one approaching on the sidewalk. not the worst idea in the world for you right now, but I'm not saying do that. What I am saying is you need to look in the mirror, and that is the person you need to connect with. And I need you to start with following some sort of an exercise routine. I don't care if you don't join a gym. You can do body weight workouts, do something to get you in shape and feeling strong and limber in your own living room. And if you're not quite sure what to do, come to my channel. Well, you're already on my channel. Come and check out my YouTube channel. I've got a whole bunch of body weight workouts for you. Start with those. Do them every other day. But the thing of it is, I want you to have a routine to make yourself physically stronger and better. Believe me when I tell you, you'll think that the next step is figuring out a way to work on the mental, but the mental is going to overlap that. You're going to become stronger than thinking that you only can get 18 push-ups in this set. You're going to even it out at 20. You're going to realize that because you were able to do it 3 times last week, why couldn't we work out 4 or 5 times this week? You're going to realize that when you were doing 5 sets of 15 push-ups to get to 75, this week you decided to do 4 sets of 25 and do 100 because you didn't stop, because your mind pushed you on. And let me tell you, that will translate into other aspects of your life. Now, you're not in sales, but you are in law school. And what you are going to do as a career, I'm sure, has a lot to do with, convincing, selling to a certain extent. And I'll bet you're going to be damn good at it. What I want you to remember is that business and dating, at least in the initial stages, really aren't that different a concept.
Well said, Johnny.
Good luck, Kenny.
Yeah, hopefully, and Kenny, follow up with us. And Johnny and
I'd like to hear from you again.
We have our Facebooks, IGs. I don't know how you got a hold of Johnny, but you can also reach out to me, TikTok, IG, X, Facebook, wherever, man. Get a hold of us, follow up with us. If you got further questions, we can put you in touch with what you need, the resources you need.
Yeah, and another thing, I'm going to put this out there as a side note. If you can, and I know that not everybody is surrounded by amazing people like I am, but if you are surrounded by some people that you can learn something from, make sure that you hang with them and make sure you learn some things from them. In your line of work, you're going to want to hang out with attorneys more successful than you. There's always something that they can teach you, whether they're trying to or not. And believe it or not, you'll be returning the favor, whether you realize it or not. But hang out with those people who know a little bit more about what you're trying to learn than you do. I know that sounds like a no-brainer, but remember, experience begets experience. And you may be able to gain that experience just through lessons learned from other people, taking you and showing you the ropes, instead of having to learn it in this university that we call the School of Hard Knocks, like Bill and I had to go through. And we're just talking about personal relationships here, but that can translate to anything else in your life. So, I mean, yeah, surround yourself with people who are successful, preferably a little bit more successful than you. I guarantee you, whether they realize it or not, they'll be reaching down that arm to pull you up.
Well said, Johnny.
All right. So that's it for Kenny. Good luck to you, Kenny. So I guess we're ready for message number 2. I can't really call it a letter. They don't do that anymore. You remember the old days? We could be on network TV saying, if you have a question for us, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to. People had to run and grab a pen and paper. I wonder how many people in the 80s actually kept pen and paper by the TV for that kind of stuff. They only said the phone number 17 times.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. All right. See what we got here. I know this is not his real name. I guarantee you it isn't, but I like this one. He calls himself McCluskey. I like that.
Okay.
I wonder if that's a Godfather reference.
Of course it is. Come on.
It's got to be. Anyway, that's about as funny as this gets, I'm sorry to say. He says, I'm so sick of not being chosen. Bill, hold on. I know. I'm saying the same thing. We got to hear the boy out. Every time I come close to love with someone, they end up choosing someone else over me. And I know the healthy thing to do is realize that we just weren't that compatible and move on. But I can't help but feel unwanted and or unlovable, because why the hell won't anyone love me back when I have so much love to give? I'm so sick of feeling so alone. I just want someone to come home to, cuddle to sleep, watch movies with, and cook for. Something everyone else around me has no trouble finding, but somehow it keeps evading me. How do you deal with loneliness so consuming it feels like you're falling into a pit and keep sinking deeper and deeper? McCluskey, I'm going to tell you right now, you're in Mick trouble. The problem here is you are asking how it keeps evading you. You see what I'm saying? They keep choosing someone else over you. They just weren't that compatible with you. You feel unwanted, unlovable. Why won't anyone love me back? The problem is that you're kind of putting the blame on the people who don't love you. Now, you could put that blame on someone who doesn't love you and leads you on and gives you the runaround and, God forbid, manages to get a little money out of you that they didn't deserve. But if it's just that they didn't reciprocate the feelings that you had for them, Plusky, brother, this is not the real issue at hand. Bill, tell them what you think. Tell them what it is.
Johnny, we have another one tonight who absolutely hates himself.
Kenny, is
McCluskey,
this you under a different name?
McCluskey, I'm going to tell you something you don't want to hear because this is a tough love channel.
Yeah.
And the only true love that exists is the love that you have for yourself, which you are clearly lacking, sir.
Yep.
But that self-love is going to prevent people from you having people in your life that would mistreat you. So again, self-love kind of goes into self-respect a little bit. So I can tell you don't really respect yourself. Now, if you loved yourself a little more, you would eventually have that self-respect. You're looking for these women to fulfill something that you should be fulfilling for yourself. So they're kind of looking at you like something's wrong with you, because I don't understand why you would need them to feel good about yourself. Also, you need to work on not being such a people pleaser. The fact that you want to cook dinner and take care of somebody who may not even deserve that really gives me pause here. So I think
that brings us back to putting her on a pedestal.
Exactly. You're going to lose every single time. While she's up on her pedestal, she's going to be looking down on you because you placed her so far above you, she can only look down on you. She's going to be wondering, what is wrong with him for him to worship me like this? A lot of guys don't realize this. And I know it's not your fault. You guys are conditioned to think these women are beautiful, sexy, gorgeous. You don't know that you're the one that's beautiful. You're sexy. You're gorgeous. So
not cutish.
We try to work with you. You know, I like to say that, you know what? Let me not say that because I'm trying to keep my language. You know, I'm working on me. You know,
sorry, algorithm.
I love giving back to people, but I am constantly working on me, working on my self-improvement. And one of the things I told myself I was going to do for 2025 is clean up my language. So you almost triggered me there, but like I said, I'm on my own journey of self-improvement and I got me. So I know when to pump my brakes. Johnny, why don't you go ahead and finish answering this?
Yeah, I'm going to say item number 2 is when you say you just want someone to come home to, cuddle to sleep, and watch movies with and cook for. And listen, those are fantastic. Those are things you like to do. As long as those aren't things that you are doing because she's on the pedestal and it's just because it's part of your program. Here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with doing all these things for the woman that you love, the woman that you live with. But the same thing you got to remember is this is not something you do because she wants you to do. It's because it's part of your program and you were going to be doing that anyway with or without her in the picture. But the thing is, that's really not my biggest issue with this part. The biggest issue I have with this is that you want someone to come home to, cuddle to sleep, watch movies with, and cook for, as we said before. But you were asking for all these things before you've even met someone to go out and drink with. You were looking for these kinds of things before you even actually, went out and, played the field to find out, who you were going to be able to be compatible enough with to get date number 2, date number 3. You're talking about year number 2, year number 3, with these things going on. The thing that bothers me also is that you're comparing yourself to everyone else around you's situation. And if you do that, the problem that you're going to create for yourself is you're going to be trying to keep up with the Joneses. That is never going to make you nor anybody who's going to be with you happy, because now if you're looking for improvements, if you're looking for things to be good, if you're looking for your relationship to be solid and cohesive and stay the way it's, and God willing, grow into something better, you are never going to do that looking outside at other people. You are only going to be able to find that not only within yourself, but within that person who has truly become the partner that has become worthy of living in your home so that they can be that someone to come home to be that someone you cuddle to sleep, watch movies with, and cook for. I know I've listed those things 3 or 4 times, but these are all wonderful things that you should be able to share with somebody. But again, you haven't been on date one with the one yet, or else you wouldn't be talking to us. The thing that I want you to do is the same thing I want Kenny to do. I want you to either join a gym or at least start a routine where you have a regular exercise regime. I want you to make your body stronger. I don't care if you make your body look better. I want you to develop some healthy habits. I want you to make your bed every single morning, even Sunday. I want you to I even want you to get into, you can actually step your game up, and I think it's important that you do this. Lay tomorrow's clothes out first before you go to bed. And when you wake up, make that bed. Do those 2 habits. Do it for a week straight. I promise you'll feel better in some capacity. But that's going to make you feel better about yourself and what you accomplished, even if that's all you accomplished. Even if you had the worst day in the world, you still come home to an already made bed, and you can thank yourself for what you've done for yourself. That's step one. Just think about all the other things you could be doing for yourself.
Great advice.
But I guess to answer your question, and that question being, how do you deal with loneliness so consuming that screen just went dark, that it feels like you're falling into a pit and keep sinking deeper and deeper? Well, my suggestion to you is, like I said to Kenny, get to know yourself and get to like yourself. And even if you are alone, you won't really be lonely. But you'll do that if you do what I tell you here, as far as the exercise and making the bed. I'm telling you, make it a habit.
Absolutely. In fact, I really think he needs to spend some time alone.
Yeah.
Especially if he is seeking companionship so easily. Now, I can tell McCleskey here hasn't been watching us for very long because, Johnny, something we're always talking about is a vetting process and how to vet the women that you allow into your life, gentlemen.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's like he's fitting theirs or trying and failing and getting upset about it.
Yes. And a lot of the problems he's having, and we see this all the time, it's self-inflicted.
Yep.
But he doesn't realize the mistakes that he's making. All right. So I think you should, and I don't really recommend this for a lot of guys, but I really think you need to spend some time not dating, not talking to women, learning yourself, getting to know yourself, and forming a relationship with the person you see in the mirror.
Yeah, like I say, spend that week making your bed and getting that workout in. It doesn't have to be every single day, but give yourself a routine.
Right. And once you learn yourself a little bit better, then you can learn how to vet women, because the problem you're having is you're looking for these women to be in your life when you should be looking for reasons to get rid of the women in your life. I don't know if you gentlemen are aware of this, but women outnumber us on the planet. That means there's more of them than there is of us. So it's not too difficult to say, hey, blessings on your journey. I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors. But we are just not that compatible. And I need to find somebody who's going to follow my program and just want the very best for me in life. And I don't feel like I'm getting that here. So
yeah, I mean,
it's okay to break up with women. You guys think you can't find anything better, or no one's going to love you? And like I said at the beginning of this, the only true love you're going to find is the love that you should have for yourself.
Yep.
If you really want a form of unconditional love, I would say get a dog. That dog's going to love you no matter what. Always be happy to see you. Never be mad at you. Never have an attitude with you. Never start screaming and yelling at you. Never disrespect you in front of your friends. The dog is never going to sleep with your friends. In fact, bro, honestly, you're probably better off getting a dog than getting a woman right now.
Shout out to baby girl.
And for those of you that don't know, Baby Girl was one of the best dogs that ever lived. I had this pit bull for 14 and a half years. She went everywhere with me. I had over 4 generations of her bloodline. The dog was phenomenal. And
she even stayed with me for a little while. She was a great, like the most gentle, beautiful little pit bull. I loved her so much.
Yep. Shout out to Baby Girl. We love Baby Girl.
Yeah, baby. So, she never did realize that she's not a lap dog, though. That was the funny part.
But maybe this guy needs to get himself a baby girl.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be so worried about these women. You want something to come home to? Get a dog. But don't leave it in a crate all day. You know, if you can't fence in your yard, if you can't get a dog door, if you can't have someone at your house to take care of them, I can't stand when people get dogs and then they chain them up on a wooden box outside and spend no time with them, but throw some food and water in a bowl every day for them. Walk your dog, brush your dog, bath your dog, pet your dog, exercise your dog. If you're going to have a dog, you got to be a good owner. And let me tell you why, gentlemen, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if a woman comes into your life and sees that you have an animal that you're not taking that good care of, she's going to know you're going to do the same with her.
Yeah, I mean, there's no animal in the world that my girlfriend loves more than dogs, but she doesn't have one. And her exact quote was, I love dogs enough to not have one, with as busy as I am and as rarely as I'm home.
And shout out to her. That's one of the most intelligent things that she could do. The fact that she absolutely loves those animals, but just can't have one in her life right now. I respect her for that.
Yep. All right, so we got one more tonight, Billy.
What do we got here, dog?
This guy's a married guy. This guy's a married man. He's in some territory that I've been in once, and if you're smart young men, you'll never be in yourselves. But that's only because nowadays there's no value in it. Changed my mind. So he says...
But before we get started... No, let me just shut up. Like I said, personal growth.
Yeah, I mean... That's why I thank you. Anyway, he says... I got it too now. No, look what you did. No, he goes... my wife, and he actually gives her age and his. I guess he's 33, she's 27. So he says, my wife and I are divorcing, but recent events are making me question everything. Oh, God. If you're watching this pre-recorded, pause the video, go make some popcorn. This one's going to have a little bit of meat to it. So he says, my wife and I have been together for 7 years. We have 2 children together, 6 and 3. A month ago, she told me she wanted a divorce. Guys, pay attention to this part. She said she still loves me, but is no longer in love with me. Since then, she has emotionally distanced herself, and she's in the process of moving out. She's also admitted to seeing another guy in the last 2 months, which probably means 6 months, which has caused a lot of tension between us. Despite that, this past week has been confusing. We've actually been getting along better than we have in months. A few nights ago, she came into my room visibly upset about everything going on. During that conversation, she ended up kissing me. We both stopped quickly and agreed that it was probably just an emotional moment. Not the cap. The next day, that one took too long. The next day, I used our shared laptop and saw that she had been Googling things like regretting divorce and reasons why people regret divorcing. This caught me off guard because she's been so sure about wanting to split since the start. I know, Bill. Hold on. I know. This is like level 1 for us, but this is not level 1 for, we didn't get his name, did we? Jesse. This is not level 1 for Jesse. So, you know, we gotta be nice. Stop laughing. Then last night, she came home after going out with friends and things escalated again. We ended up being intimate. Throughout, she kept saying we shouldn't be doing it, but it kept happening. This morning, she got into bed with me and said we shouldn't have done that, but then she kissed him again. God, now I'm having a hard time. All right. I've spent weeks trying to accept the divorce and start letting go. I never wanted it, but I felt like I had no choice but to respect her decision. Now, I don't know what to think. I'm not sure if she's having second thoughts or if this is just a mix of emotions Nostalgia, uncertainty about the future. I haven't brought up the Google searches to her yet, but I'm tempted to ask her if she's truly sure about going through with this. In closing, I love her and would be willing to work on things if she genuinely wanted that, but I also don't want to be strung along or misread the situation. I'm trying to do what's best for myself and our kids, but I feel completely lost. And why shouldn't you? Bill, Bill, the leash is off. Go.
All right, Johnny, you ready for some tough love?
Hey, he needs it. Let's hear it.
All right, she met somebody 6 months ago that she's been sleeping with. Okay,
Yep.
she started to feel things for him. He was turning her on in ways that you never have. So she questioned her entire relationship with you, which was probably based on financial security from the sounds of it.
That's
sounds
okay
like
because with him, it was only based on.
so much extra, just from your description of how much you love and cherish this woman. I can tell she needed extra incentive to deal with you. So she's probably going to take you to the cleaners in the divorce. The fact that she was moving out was indicative of her needing a place for her and her new boyfriend to spend time with. And then the fact that she's regretting this means he left her for somebody else that he was probably seeing all along. So,
Well, I don't even know if it went that far. I think she's actually.
Now that the boyfriend's out of the picture, now she's regretting the divorce or the potential divorce. Now, the problem here is with him. This guy is going to let this woman do whatever she wants because he didn't
wants to work on it like he did something wrong.
Well, here's the thing. He didn't have enough discipline in his life to tell her, no, we are not going to sleep together. I'm not sleeping with anybody who treats me the way you do. So he couldn't establish boundaries about how she is allowed to treat him, which means it's just going to happen again when boyfriend and his girlfriend break up. He's just.
You know what I think? I think she's.
What? Go ahead, John.
I think she's still seeing the guy. I don't think he dumped her. You know why I think she searched those things? Because she's about to make a life-altering decision and wants to make sure that if she regrets it, she can see stories about how other women have been able to get back into their husband's good graces when things like this don't work out. That would explain exactly why she keeps coming to his room despite wanting to leave and kissing him, making out with him, sleeping with him, telling him she loves him, but she's not in love with him. That is such a duality. That's such an ambiguity that she is purposely introducing, albeit subconsciously, maybe. But the point is what she's trying to do is make sure that if this whole thing doesn't work out with this guy, that he is still going to be desperate enough to hang on to her. How does she gauge that without coming right out and asking him, hey, would you be a sucker enough to hang around in case the guy doesn't? No, she's not going to ask him that. You know what she's going to do? She's going to go to his room wearing that silk nightgown he likes. She's going to go to his room talking about how she is showing that she's vulnerable because she's crying. Well, that must be honest tears. Gentlemen, especially when you're in a conflict like this with a woman, I can promise you, the only time you can guarantee that her tears are real is if she is crying alone or at least thinks that she is crying alone where no one can see her or hear her. If she has an audience of even one person, and believe me, that one person is usually going to be you when she wants something, she is going to make sure that she plays that out. Here's the way you can tell. If she's pretty when she's crying, it's phony. It is absolutely phony. If she's crying for real, she's going to ugly cry like every man, woman, and child we've ever known. If she is pretty when she's crying, she's full of it. That's it. All right? Now, I might be wrong on that, but I can tell you that in 90% or more of the situation, that is what you're dealing with. And if I'm wrong, hey, the hell with me. But
Johnny, I have had more women cry over me than I can count. And let me tell you something. Their eyes get puffy. Their nose gets watery.
Looks real.
They hyperventilate sometimes, like have actual panic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, so you're
depends on how hard she wants to sell it. Yeah.
If she's still pretty, there's probably a damsel in distress aspect to it, you know, somewhat.
And Jesse, you're falling for that hook, line, and sinker, brother. And here's how I know too. Let me tell you this, and Jesse, let me set your mind at ease. The reason I know so much about what she's doing and why she's doing it is because, as I said at the beginning of this and every other podcast, I am not here to teach you how to handle things because I've been successful. I'm here to teach you how to handle things because I have been a failure. And I am here to tell you how not to fail in these situations. And the thing of it is that when she went in there to kiss you, you let her. When she went in there to have sex with you, you let her. When she went in there to do whatever she wanted to do and, got you to comfort her while she cried, you know how I know what her motivations were? Because the exact same thing happened to two of my friends in their divorces and myself during mine. This is something that she is doing to make sure that if she's monkey branching onto the next one and that branch breaks, she can still swing on back to you because, after all, you gave her the intimacy when she came in to offer it. You returned the kiss, you returned the affection, even though you both looked at each other and said, "Oh, we shouldn't be doing this." Now you've added an aspect of, "Oh, what we're doing is bad." And while that does sound hot, and it does, remember that if you're going to go ahead and succumb to it, let it be just that. But I would say that you're so emotionally invested in the situation and it is devastating you to such a point that I'm going to go ahead and side with Bill and say the next time she comes in there to do that with you, you're just going to have to tell her, "Look, I don't think it's a good idea.
No.
I'm going to sleep."
Here's the thing, Jesse, you may love this woman, but again, I got some tough love for you. She doesn't respect you. So you now need to shift your focus because you have two children in this marriage who are going to need you after the marriage is over. So that's what you need to start planning for right now. Your children and what they are going to need. Forget this woman.
Yep.
Look, I really wish things could work out between the two of you, but she is in the lead here, even going all the way back to wanting the divorce. And what did you do? Follow her lead. Okay,
Yeah.
well, if she wants the divorce, I don't really want it, but I'll go along with it. How can this woman respect you when you're willing to let her do whatever she wants? I mean,
Well,
come
here's
on.
and
At
here's the thing too.
salvage part of this situation for your children. Establish some boundaries. Learn how to co-parent with her. Start talking about the steps that are going to be necessary for the children in the future. Let her know that you're not coming back on this, dog. You really got to move on from this woman because
More than that, let her know that she is not going to go back on this because she's the first one that brought up the D word, not you.
and I would still make her move out.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
here's the thing.
She wanted to get an apartment and move out. Hey, like I said earlier, best of luck in your endeavors. Blessings on your journey.
Yeah, I mean, if you are my wife and you mentioned the D word, if I were married 10 years later than I was, I would have had the gall to know that when my wife mentioned the D word, I could have just said, "Hey, you know what? Go for it." Out of respect for our marriage, not necessarily you and your actions, but our marriage itself, I'm going to go ahead and say, "I'll let you sleep on it wherever you plan to sleep tonight and tell me in the morning if you still feel that way. Maybe I'll give you that. Maybe." But the thing of it is, that's if all you told me was that you wanted a divorce. But you told us, she followed that up by telling you that she had been seeing another guy for 2 months, which we know is 6 months. The fact of the matter is, I don't care if it was 2 days. I don't care if it was 2 hours.
Right.
The point is, she stepped outside your marriage. And so working it out shouldn't be an option. At this point, I know you've got kids. There's no point in sticking together for the sake of the kids because all you're going to teach them is how two people live together and coexist with resentment towards each other. And that is best case scenario. That is best case scenario. But maybe it would be better to show your kids that although their mom and dad love them very much, they don't respect each other enough to stay together as a couple or, whatever it happens to be. They don't need to know that part of it. But what they need to see is that somebody is not going to be a doormat. Neither one of you is going to be. And the minute she said that she had been seeing a guy for any length of time, that should be the end of it. She broke the vows of the marriage.
Yes.
She breached the contract, both legally and I don't know if you're a religious guy, but both legally and spiritually, if that's how you guys got married. The point is that she said the state that recognizes your marriage, the religion that recognizes your marriage, she said, "To hell with all of that. My happiness is more important."
Well, here's the thing. Why would you want to be with somebody who can't stand on business? Why would you want to be with a woman who can't be faithful to you?
Right.
I mean, unless it wasn't forsaking all others until your death in your vows. And look,
Well, but here's the thing, Bill, and I'm going to give him credit for one thing, though. I'm going to give him credit for this because, number one, he didn't always have his uncles. But number two, the big thing is that this is a woman that got him all the way, not only to the altar, but to parenthood. Now, remember when we said a couple of weeks back, the minute that you as a man ask a woman to be his committed girlfriend, that's not all you're actually saying. What she's hearing is, hey, everything about you is exactly what I'm looking for, and everything is fine. I don't want you to change a bit of it. I like you just the way you are, all the habits that you have, all the things that you do, all the places you go, all the people you hang out with, all those are just fine with me. And I'm saying all that by simply asking you to be my committed girlfriend. Now, I've done that many times in my life and had the wrong girl just about every time. I think I got lucky this time, but that's, hey, it's a work in progress like any other relationship. That's kind of the part where, but you went beyond that. You went beyond the whole thing, and I don't know what kind of things happened. You don't mention if you guys argued while you were dating or anything like that, but then you put a ring on her finger. Whether it was your grandmother's ring or that $2,000 ring or whatever it cost from, what is it, Jared? I don't even know the jewelers anymore. But you put an expensive ring on her finger, and then you did it again on your wedding day. So there have been three levels of vetting that you brought her through that told her, okay, you're my girlfriend. Everything I love about you is great. Everything you do is perfect. Oh, now here comes the engagement ring. So far, so good. You've handled everything exactly the way you should to continue in a relationship with me, to the point where now I want to bet half of everything I've ever worked for my entire working life that we're never going to break up. You're not only betting on your will to stay in a relationship, you're betting on hers. And you're betting on the woman who's 27 years old, and in the eyes of herself and many people around her, she might be thinking this might be the best she's ever going to look. This might be the best she's ever going to perform. This might be the best she's ever going to feel. And when she's been with you since she was 20 years old, which I'm assuming that made you 26. This is a lot where a lot of women, I think, when they're in long-term relationships at that, well, what didn't used to be considered young, but now is, they think to themselves, man, a lot of my vitality is going away in this one relationship. Look, I don't know what her motivations were for seeing this other guy, and I don't want to know. The point is, she stepped outside your marriage. She broke that contract. She broke your trust. And the fact of the matter is that even if you were able to forgive and forget and bring her back into your home and keep things going, whether it's for the sake of the kids or whether you actually think you got to run at it, the fact of the matter is that whatever relationship you had with her before is now over, even if it continues. You are now with a new person, not a new person because she's now suddenly somebody you don't know. I'm not saying that. I don't want to be that dramatic. But you are now dealing with a person that you trust less than the person that you married. And that's tough, man.
Okay, so back to tough love. I'm going to tell you some stuff that you don't want to hear. This might be where you want to stop the video. But
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. So what I'm going to tell you is there's something called ENN, ethically non-monogamous. If you really want to keep your wife, you really want to keep your marriage, you really want to do it for the children or because you love her, then open up your marriage. Let her get piped down by the kind of dudes that she's into. Hey, you guys already have separate bedrooms. You're talking about her coming into your room. Okay. So if you open up the marriage, a guy like me can come over, take her to Pound Town, put it on her. You can hear me smashing your wife in the next room. And then maybe after you hear my car pull out, you can go check on her to make sure she's okay. If that's the kind of life you want to live for the rest of your life because you love that woman, then go ahead. Open up your marriage, become ENM, and watch somebody else smash your woman for you. That's the only thing that's going to save this marriage because that woman doesn't respect you. You're not going to just get respect back. If she had respect for him, Johnny, she wouldn't have stepped outside of the marriage.
Now, see, Bill's telling you how to save your marriage, but notice what Bill's not saying. He's not saying save yourself. He's not saying improve your life. He's not saying move on and move up. You personally, Jesse. He's not saying that. None of those things he's suggesting is going to have that effect on you. And he knows that. We know that. And I think you know that. At least Love of God, I hope you know that. But like Bill said, hey, if you really want this marriage to stay intact, go ahead and do that. But the thing of it is, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to feel even more resentment and anger than you already feel, or you're going to hook up with somebody. She's going to suddenly want to make sure she closes that marriage real quick. But the problem is now you're not dealing with one person who doesn't trust the other. You're dealing with two people who don't trust each other. Because now you both done. See the web that we spin with these kinds of things. And, I know why Bill said that. I mean, he does make a very, very valid point. And like I said, you'll save the marriage, but he's not going to save her vasectomy, is he, Bill?
No. You can forget about
and so that's just it. I mean,
for the rest of your life. And there's a certain word that you can call yourself from that point on. We're not going to mention it, but
no. God forbid.
It rhymes with duck.
Oh, fire truck.
No,
that's that. Oh no, I just said a word that starts with F and ends in UCK.
All right, look.
I haven't had a cheesy joke all night. I had to.
Hey, really, man. I want the best for Jesse. He's just in a horrible situation because us as men, we suffer in silence. We really do. And he is going to accept even worse treatment from this woman for the kids, to be in the kids' lives. Like,
you know what? I think even that's kind of a mini cop out. I mean, I understand wanting to stay in your kids' lives, but at the same time,
okay, so
I think he still carries a torch for her despite everything.
Oh, absolutely, he does. So that tells me that he doesn't have the heart to kick her out. Let's say she doesn't want to move out. She's changed her mind for whatever reason. He is not going to have the heart to go evict her and the kids. He's got to evict his own children to evict her. Like this.
Well, here's the tough love part. Here's the part that kills me. Here's what really bothered me. If what I understand is correct, and Bill, tell me if I'm wrong, it doesn't even matter to most courts in most states. I don't know what state he's in. I'm assuming he's either here or in Ohio, but I could be wrong. But the thing of it is that even if she cheats, even if she was the worst wife in the world, as long as she's not a bad mother, she's probably going to get custody. She is probably going to get child support. And I know that a lot of you guys are out there saying, yeah, it's cheaper to keep her. And hey, look, man, maybe it is. And here's the tough love part. Jesse, this might be a jagged pill you're going to have to swallow, Alanis. Because what's going to happen here is she might end up with custody. You might end up making child support payments. And the thing of it is that knowing that you have your dignity is probably not going to seem like much of a consolation. And frankly, it probably shouldn't. This is going to be a difficult, not to mention expensive lesson. Remember I said foolishly expensive, young men. If you're thinking about that, let us know. But the problem with that is now, Jesse, you are kind of stuck in a situation where if you keep her, you're going to have that resentment. It's going to drive you into the ground. And, for all we know, might give you a coronary or something like that. And I don't say that jokingly. I've seen it happen. Or, you end up divorcing her, kicking her out of the house, or she's probably going to get the house. And you're going to end up making payments, maybe living on somebody's couch for a while. And look, that's all fine and good, but you'll have your dignity. The point is, you're not going to get both. You're not going to walk away with your money and your dignity in this situation. And the reason that you are not going to walk away with both of those things is because you missed not one, not two, but 3 opportunities minimum to have vetted this girl out of your life to make sure that these kinds of things didn't happen. There is no way that you are going to convince me that this little affair that she had in the last 2 months is the first time she's done it. And even if it is, you can't tell me that it's the first time she's thought of it. And if that's the case, you cannot tell me that there were not red flags that you either consciously or subconsciously ignored that made you, again, miss vetting her. And I'm going to say it again, not once, not twice, but thrice. I'm going to bring that word back. Thrice. You failed to vet this woman, and now you're in the position that you're in. So you're going to have to gambit something. You're going to have to either end up paying that child support, paying that alimony, whatever other things, there's going to be a financial loss for you, or there's going to be a loss of your personal dignity. You have 12 to 15 years left of child support on these kids if you leave today, or if this divorce were to be finalized tomorrow morning. Okay? That's going to be bad enough, but remember, and I don't know what the answer to this is. I don't know because this is for you to answer. This isn't even for Bill to answer, and he's been through more than I have. the question you have to answer yourself is, what is more important that you keep? Your money in your marriage or your personal pride and dignity? And remember that either answer that you give, those 6 and 3-year-olds are going to become 7 and 4-year-olds, 8 and 5-year-olds, 18 and 15-year-olds that are going to witness this and to think that this is how a functioning household is supposed to work. Broken or unbroken.
Johnny, I can't help but wonder how fast she gave it up to the boyfriend. She's talking about.
Yeah, I wish I knew that.
Dog, I bet the boyfriend was in there less than a week after meeting her. Like, she probably was swept off her feet and smitten by the boyfriend. Look, I don't want to get into all that. I'm not trying to make him.
No, I mean, I don't want to write somebody's story, but I hear what you're saying, though.
Yeah, the math is mathing on that, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
2 months is not enough. 2 months of a relationship with a guy that is not your husband is not enough for you to say, "Hey, I'm leaving my husband."
We're gonna
6 months.
My whole life. We're gonna uproot my children and everything they know. I'm gonna start going through litigation. No, bro.
Well, remember, she risks less than he does. That's just the courts.
Still, I want you to stay focused on what's best for the children here, because what's best for you, what's best for her may not be what's best for the children. And you may love her and you may think that being in the same house with your children is what's best for them. And I'll tell you, I've made that mistake before. Yeah. And that's not always what's best, especially if the situation's going to get volatile and you're going to end up in legal troubles because of it. Because unfortunately, if a woman calls the cops, if there's an altercation, if there is, you guys are raising your voice and having a heated discussion,
you're going.
and one of the neighbors calls the cops, if they show up and she's crying, she says, he grabbed me, he threatened me, he smacked me. Doesn't matter if you're the husband and it's your house. You're going to jail, my dude. So
and here's the thing: is there's a lot of there's a lot of places, and a friend of mine had a situation of this come up recently, and he was told by the officer, because he was clearly the victim. The police knew that. They did not arrest her. They gave her a summons, and he told him flat out: domestic situations, men go to jail, women get summons.
Yeah,
that's here in Pittsburgh, by the way. Just letting you know, West Mifflin. Sorry, sorry.
You're dealing with a woman who doesn't respect you. I don't think your situation's going to get better. Therapy's not going to help it. Couples counseling's not going to help it. You can save it by opening up your marriage and letting your woman get piped down by whoever she wants, whenever she wants. You'll at least be around for the kids, but you're going to lose your self-respect. So if that's what you need to do, then just tell her you love her so much you're willing to open up the marriage. Please don't leave you.
Yeah, just remember, you can't expect an increase from other people when it comes to respect if you can't increase your self-respect. And that's the biggest thing to remember. So, look, I don't have the right answer for you. I have the answer that you're not going to leave with both your money and your dignity. You're going to have to decide what's more important, man.
I got the right answer for you. Make her move out. Make her file for the divorce. Get yourself a good attorney and start planning for your children's future.
By the way, we are not giving actual legal advice here, just so you know. We're not lawyers.
I'm really not. But your situation is going to get worse before it gets better. The only way it's going to get better is if you take steps to manage and mitigate that. And allowing a woman who has disrespected you to continue to do so by just saying she's sorry, it's not going to fix anything. You're fooling yourself.
Or by saying she's naked. Yeah, I mean,
look, when she went out with friends, I don't know. I see her manipulating him at every corner, and I don't want to read too much into it, but
it was probably her single friend.
I think he needs to get out of the situation.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably best that you get out of the situation. But like I said, I mean, I know that with the marriage, with kids, with a house, and all that other stuff, look, there's legal and financial implications that I don't know a whole lot about, but I do know that at this point in most states, you're probably not going to leave with both your money and your dignity, like I said before. So, I mean, you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to make sure that your children know that you both love them no matter what. Because I'm sure that, look, bad wife, but it doesn't sound like she's a bad mom, or at least you didn't indicate that she is.
Right.
But I mean, be and let's and when it comes to the way the two of you coexist, no matter which decision you make sure you keep that at the forefront of your mind. Don't worry about what kind of a wife she is when it comes to kids. Worry about what kind of a mother she is. You already know what kind of wife she is. You're the only one that has to worry about that. You're the only one that has to or can take action. But like I say, raise the kids as if you're still together, even if you don't live together.
All right, Johnny, we got anything else for tonight, or are we gonna go ahead and wrap this up?
I think we're gonna make like Run DMC and rap.
Hey, I just want to say to anybody watching, anybody who's ever liked, commented, shared, subscribed, followed us, any of that, I genuinely appreciate you. Thank you.
Shout out to Tully 29er, baby.
All right, Johnny, we'll wrap this up and we'll be back Thursday night when we're breaking down women's dating profiles. We're going to pull up my Bumble and we're going to teach you guys how to read between the lines to the subtleties and nuances in online dating.
That's right, gentlemen. And throughout the evening, I was drinking Four Roses bourbon because I'm drinking and they're still not paying me for it just yet. But I do want you to remember that if you drink, don't drive. And if you drive, don't park, because accidents cause people. Good night.